Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the book report. We are making some changes to the book report. I'm sure you've noticed if you've been watching it regularly that we've been absent for a couple of weeks. We realized that trying to do it once a week was a little bit more than we could handle as a staff. So we're working on trying to put together a little piece that will go online at the end of every month that kind of talks about the month before, what books came out that we were excited about, maybe a clip or two from the Vintage Books Live interviews that we do, and some of the authors that are local whose books we're excited about that just recently came out, and then talking about some events that are coming up. So we're going to experiment with that. It'll probably be a little bumpy at first while we play around with the technology and the lighting, which is terrible tonight, but we'll work on that. But as always, whenever we're doing anything new, it seems like it's just best to jump in and try it and experiment and tweak stuff as we go. So that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is share a little bit about a book that I read recently that I thought you might enjoy, and then we'll jump into some other stuff. The book is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio, sorry about that. I actually listened to a really wonderful audiobook edition that I downloaded from Libro.fm. If you're not familiar with Libro.fm, they're a company out of Seattle that does audio books. And you can just look them up on Libro.fm or Libro.fm on Instagram or Facebook. They're fantastic. They allow you to direct some of your audiobook purchase to your favorite local bookstore. We're obviously able to benefit from that if you'd like. If you happen to be watching this from another city or region, I would encourage you to find out the local bookstore in your particular area and direct funds to them. But they just really want to support small local bookstores in addition to their own company, which I think is very cool. This book caught my eye when it came in. It's basically the story of a woman who comes home from an event and discovers that there is a husband in her house. And she's not married, so she's very confused. And she quickly learns that if she sends said husband into the attic, a new husband comes out of the attic, and it's a different person. And this can go on indefinitely. Every time she sends the husband up into the attic, the world and the new husband comes down, the new world basically resets. She might have a different job. She might have slightly different friends or different people in her family. And it's hilarious and funny, but also thought-provoking in the sense of if you can choose, anybody, how would you handle that? Is there a perfect partner? If you can just send somebody back every time they annoy you, what are the implications of that? And it's very well written. It's very fun, but it also kind of has a little bit of undercurrent of seriousness because it's like, okay, well, what would you do in that situation? And there's a little bit of digging into relationships and how they work and how they don't work and when do you settle, when do you not settle? There's just a lot of really fun stuff, and she does a great job. It's a very satisfying ending. It works really well with the story that she presents. So yeah, I would recommend this either in the book form or the audio form from Libro.fm. They were both fantastic. So check that out if you get a chance. And now we're going to jump to a clip from an interview that we did with Curtis. We happen to have just done it tonight. Curtis's latest book, Kangaroo 2, came out today, which as of recording is April 30th, and it's Curtis C. Chen is the author, and he's a local person, so we had a really good conversation with him tonight, and I wanted to share one funny little clip from that conversation, so enjoy.
So the specific inspiration for the Pocket superpower it's a Japanese cartoon character which has been around for a long time. He's called Doraemon, and I like I read a lot of the comics when I was younger because they'd been translated into Chinese, and so one um, my paternal grandfather, like for a while, owned a bookstore in Taiwan, which is where I was born. So, when I was very, very young, I would like browse the shelves and start reading. And so that was one of the comic books that I read. And so Doraemon is a robot cat from the future. Just go with me on this.
I love that.
And he has he literally has a little pouch on his belly, which what do they call it? They call it like a four-dimensional gadget pouch. But he in the comic book, like he will basically reach into it and just pull out all kinds of stuff. And usually, and I actually reread the comics recently. They're originally, I don't know how they were originally released in Japan, but when I was reading, they were like collected into these little like manga books. And each comic is like very, very short, only a few pages, and they're very episodic. And each episode is about how, so Doraemon was sent back from the future to help, um, let me see, let me remember the backstory, right? So he was sent back by his owner in the future to help that guy's grandfather in the past, who was um, while he was in like grade school, let's say, pretty young, still in school, and he
Yeah.
was like a terrible student and was being bullied and had all these other problems. And so his grandchild in the future said, "I'm going to send back this robot cat in a time machine that happens to be in his desk drawer." Don't
Of
ask too many
course, as one
questions.
has
It's
in
a
new days.
cartoon. It's a comic. Um, and this robot cat is going to have this pouch where he's got stored all these gadgets from the future, where you can pull out and help, my ancestors. So basically, each episode, like little of the original comic, is like the kid. I don't remember his name in the original Japanese. In the Chinese translation, he was Dasheng, and they just kind of made up a name for him, basically. Um, but each episode is like the kid will have some kind of problem, like he's being bullied, or like he needs to study for a test, or he like whatever it is. And then Doraemon will like, oh, well, I have a gadget from the future that might help with that. And
I'll
then the
solve
kid
your
will like use it, and it
problem.
inevitably goes wrong in like some ridiculous, right? Like either like he uses it wrong, or he abuses the power, whatever it is of the thing, um, or like his friends find out and like one of the bullies steals it, and like it's a lot of sort of familiar tropes from kids shows, but in the with this sort of very science fictional um, feeling to it.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that idea of like, oh, you could have a pocket where you could like hide everything, like kind of stuck with me over the
yeah,
years.
yeah. I hope you enjoyed that clip. I had such a wonderful time talking to Curtis and all the others authors that we talked to in April. You can catch all of those replays on our YouTube channel. Links to that are on all of our social media pages. It's on our website, or you can just go to YouTube and search for Vintage Books. We had such a great time talking to so many different people. And we also had a lot of author friends that had books release in April. So what you're about to see is images of each of those books and information about them. I wanted to note that the last book that you're going to see is actually still in ARC. We're waiting for our copies to come in. They should be here within a few days, but I didn't have a fresh, clean copy of the actual book to show you on screen today. So just note that the hardcover will look a little bit different than what you see represented on the screen. So be sure to check out some of these books when you get a chance. I hope you will check out some of those books by our local author friends. Thank you so much for watching this tonight. I really appreciate it. Obviously, we'll be tweaking as we go. We hope in the future that we can add some photos of things that went on in the store and in any given month. More clips, perhaps shorter, but more pieces of our interviews with Vintage Books Live, and just various other things that happened around the store, cat photos or whatever. But we'll stop with this tonight just as a way to get started. We hope that you enjoyed the pieces that we presented tonight, and we would love your feedback. We know it's rough. We know that there are some accessibility things that we want to work on so that the text that appears on the screen will be able to be perceived by people who can't see it. That's all stuff that we're going to be working on in the future, but we thought we need to get started somewhere, so this is where we started. We really appreciate you hanging in there with us, and we appreciate the folks that are watching these every week or every month now, and just hanging out with us and being book friends. So hope you all have a good night. Happy May, and we'll see you next time.